listeners, it's story time again. Today's story is about the strong friendship between two men. Listen and you'll hear how one of these men was ready to give up his life for his friend's sake. Long, long ago, there lived on the island of Sicily two young men named Damon and Pythias. They were known far and wide for the strong and true friendship they had for one another. Their names have come down to our own times to mean true friendship. You may hear it said of two persons. Those two were very like Damon and Pythias. The king of that country was a cruel tyrant. He made cruel laws and he showed no mercy towards anyone who broke his laws. Now, you might very well wonder, why didn't the people rebel? Well, the people didn't dare rebel because they feared the king's great and powerful army. No one dared say a word against the king or his laws, except Damon and Pythias. One day, a soldier overheard Pythias speaking against a new law the king had proclaimed. Ho there! Who are you that dares to speak so about our king?
I'm called Pythias.
Don't you know it is a crime to speak against the king or his laws? You're under arrest. Come and tell this opinion of yours to the king's face. Your case number. When Pythias was brought before the king, he showed no fear. He stood straight and quiet before the throne.
So, Pythias, they tell me you do not approve the laws I make. I'm not alone, your majesty, in thinking that your laws are cruel, but you rule the people with such an iron hand that they dare not complain. But you have the daring to complain for those. Have they appointed you their champion? No, your majesty, I speak for myself alone. I have no wish to make trouble for anyone. But I am not afraid to tell you that the people are suffering under your rule. They want to have a voice in making laws for themselves. You do not allow them to speak up for themselves. In other words, you're calling me a tyrant. Well, you should learn for yourself how a tyrant treats a rebel. Soldier, throw this man into prison.
Once, your majesty, don't try to resist, Pythias.
I know better than to try to resist a soldier of the king. And for how long am I to remain in prison, your majesty? Merely for speaking out for the people? Not very long, Pythias. 2 weeks from today at noon, you shall be put to death in the public square. As an example to anyone else who may dare to question my laws or acts. Off to prison with him, soldier.
When Damon heard that his friend Pythias had been thrown into prison and the severe punishment that was to follow, he was heartbroken. He rushed to the prison and persuaded the guard to let him speak to his friend.
Oh, Pythias, how terrible to find you here. I wish I could do something to save you. Nothing can save me, Damon, my dear friend. I am prepared to die. But there is one thought that troubles me greatly. What is it? I will do anything to help you. I'm worried about what will happen to my mother and sister when I'm gone. I'll take care of them, Pythias, as if they were my own mother and sister. Thank you, Damon. I have money to leave them. But there are other things I must arrange. If only I could go see them before I die. But they live 2 days' journey from here. You know. I'll go to the king and beg him to give you your freedom for a few days. You'll give your word to return at the end of that time. Everyone in Sicily knows you for a man who has never broken his word. Do you think for one moment that the king would let me leave this prison no matter how good my word have been all my life? I'll tell him that I shall take your place in this prison cell. I'll tell him that if you do not return by the appointed day, he will kill me in your place. No, Damon! You must not do such a foolish thing. I will not let you do this. Damon, don't go. Damon, my friend, you might find yourself in a cell beside me. Majesty, I beg you, let Pythias go home for a few days to bid farewell to his mother and sister. He gives his word that he will return at your appointed time. Everybody knows that his word can be trusted. In ordinary business affairs, perhaps, but he has known a man under sentence of death. To free him, even for a few days, would strain his honesty, any man's honesty, too far. Pythias would never return here. I consider him a traitor, but I am certain he is no fool.
Your Majesty, I will take his place in the prison cell until he comes back. If he does not return, then you may take my life in his place.
What did you say, Damon?
I'm so certain of Pythias that I'm offering to die in his place if he fails to return on time.
I can't believe you mean it.
I do mean it, Your Majesty.
You make me very curious, Damon. So curious that I'm willing to put you and Pythias to the test. This exchange of prisoners will be made, but Pythias must be back 2 weeks from today at noon.
Thank you, Your Majesty.
The order with my official seal shall go by your own hand, Damon. But I warn you, if your friend does not return on time, you should serially die in his place.
Pythias did not like the king's bargain with Damon. He did not like to leave his friend in prison with the chance that he might lose his life if something went wrong. But at last Damon persuaded him to leave, and Pythias set out for his home. More than a week went by. The day set for the death sentence drew near. Pythias did not return. Everyone in the city knew of the condition on which the king had permitted Pythias to go home. Everywhere people met, the talk was sure to turn to the two friends.
Do you suppose Pythias will come back? Why should he stick his head under the king's axe when he's escaped?
Still, would an honorable man like Pythias let such a good friend die for him?
There's no telling what a man will do when it's a question of his own life against another's. But if Pythias doesn't come back before the time is up, he will be killing his friend.
Well, there's still a few days' time. I, for one, am certain that Pythias will return in time.
And I am just as certain that he will not. Friendship is friendship, but a man's own life is something.
2 days before the time was up, the king himself visited Damon in his prison cell.
You see now, Damon, that you were a fool to make this burden. Your friend has tricked you. He will not come back here to be killed. He has deserted you.
I have faith in my friend. I know he will return.
We shall see.
Meanwhile, as he reached the home of his family, he arranged his business affairs so that his mother and sister would be able to live comfortably for the rest of their years. Then he said a last farewell to them before starting back to the city.
Pythias, it will only take you 2 days to get back. Stay another, I beg you.
I dare not stay longer, Mother. Remember, Damon is locked up in my prison cell while I'm gone. Please don't make it any harder for me. Farewell. Don't weep for me. My death may bring better days to our people.
Luck struck him on the very first day. At twilight, as he walked across a lonely stretch of woodland, a rough forest called.
Not so fast there, young man. Oh, what is it? What do you want?
Your money bags!
My money bags? I only have this small amount. I shall need them for some favors, perhaps, before I die.
What do you mean before you die? We don't mean to kill you, only take your money bags.
I'll give you my money. Only don't delay me any longer. I am to die by the king's order in 3 days from now. If I don't return to prison on time, my friend must die in my place.
A likely story. What man would be foolish enough to go back to prison ready to die? And what man would be fool enough to die for you? Well, we'll take your money back and we'll tie you up while we get away.
No! I must get back to free my friend. I must go back.
But the two robbers took Pythias' money, tied him to a tree, and went off as fast as they could. Pythias struggled to free himself. He cried out for help as long as he could, for a long time, but no one traveled through that lonesome woodland after dark. The sun had been up for many hours before he finally managed to free himself from the rope that had tied him to the tree. He lay on the ground, hardly over. After a while, Pythias got to his feet. Weak and dizzy from hunger and thirst, in his struggle to free himself, he set off. Day and night he traveled without stopping, desperately trying to reach the city in time to save The last day, half an hour before noon, Damon's hands were tied behind his back, and he was taken into the public square. The people muttered angrily as Damon was led in by the jailer. Then the king entered and seated himself on a high platform.
Long live the king! The longer he lives, the more miserable our lives will be. Well, Damon, your lifetime is nearly up. Where is your good friend Pythias now?
I have faith in my friend. If he has not returned, I'm certain it is no fault of his own.
The sun is almost overhead. The shadow is almost at noon mark, and still your friend has not returned to give you back your life.
I am ready and happy to die in his place.
And you shall, Damon. Jailer, lead the prisoner to the...
Look, it's Pythias! Pythias has come back.
Let me through! Damon!
Pythias!
Thank the gods I'm not too late.
I would have died for you gladly, my friend.
Set them free! Set them both free! People of this city, never in all in my life have I seen such faith and friendship, such loyalty between men. There are friendships, such loyalty between men. There are many among you who call me harsh and cruel, but I cannot kill any men who prove such strong and true friendship for one another. Damon and Pythias, I set you both free. Yes! I am king. I command a great army. I have stores of gold and precious jewels, but I would give all my money and power for one friend like Damon and Pythias.